In bird culture, this is considered a dick move.
Hi everyone, I'm Luke Hector and you're watching the Broken Meeple. This is a YouTube channel about board games where I give reviews, top 10s and my honest opinions, regardless of the consequences. We'll get on with the show in just a minute, but first a quick word from my sponsor. As a fellow gamer, you'll understand this is unacceptable. The solution? Head down to my new sponsor, KIENDA.co.uk. KIENDA stocks many of the hot new releases as well as some old hidden gems. Free delivery on orders over £30, further discounts on bulk purchases, and even 5% of your spending refunded back to you as points to be used for further discounts down the line. If you use the referral link in the description below and sign up for a new account, you'll get 5% discount on your first order over £60. So let's make gaps in your collection a thing of the past. Get down to KIENDA and start saving today. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the video.
Get on with it.
So today we're looking at... Right, one sec. Oi, yeah. Wingspan. Wingspan the nesting box. This is a two-part video that I am doing for Beyond the Base Game. One for the nesting box, one for Wingspan Asia, which is inside this box. We'll get on to that in a different video. But yeah, I was a little bit... shall we say hesitant about buying this at first because of the price tag. This thing was being advertised for around like the £80 mark. And that was if you were a Stonemaier champion. If you were just a casual person wanting to buy this off the Stonemaier website, you were paying over 100 quid for this thing, with Asia included. But even without it, you were still getting into the 80s, 90s mark. And wow, that's an expensive price to pay for a box. Basically a storage unit. Now the one I got here came with Asia included, but future print runs won't have Asia included, so you're mainly just getting the box. But as you can see, it's somewhat huge. Just a little bit huge. I mean, here's the Wingspan base game, and so putting it next to each other, you can see that there's a little bit of a massive size. I mean, I used to have everything in Wingspan and a small box above it. I think I had the Oceania expansion above it that contained bits that didn't fit in here. That was about it. This thing is ginormous, but it holds everything to date and it's meant to hold everything for the future. The question is, that's a large amount of money to put forward on a box, as gorgeous as it looks from the artwork perspective. Was it worth it? So the first thing you're likely to ask me is, Luke, why have you got such a weird accent? And the second thing you're likely to ask me is, Luke, does this fit in a Kallax shelf? Well, we've asked Portal to very kindly vacate the premises just for a bit so I can show you just how this fits. So here's the nesting box. This is a standard size Kallax shelf, so the normal squares that you get. In it goes. And it's kind of in. Not fully. You see, it goes all the way, but it will go all the way and then some. You know, the wall is behind the Kallax, but there's still a good, decent gap behind the shelf and the wall, and it still juts out a bit. So this is the bit of the shelf. Yep, there is probably about, little finger's width there, which is sticking out of the Kallax shelf. So flat answer is, it fits in terms of going inside the shelf, but unfortunately it won't stay fully inside the shelf. So it really depends on your setup. I mean, if you've got a lot of space between your shelf and the wall or whatever behind it, then you won't have a problem. But if, like me, you're kind of limited on space, or you hate the fact that the thing juts out in front, you're going to be slightly annoyed at that.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
So okay, it looks the part, but it doesn't quite fit in the Kallax shelf as well as I would like. And for some of you, you've already turned the video off because that's a deal breaker for you. But if you've stuck around, then let's have a look at the box itself. So out comes the lid. And so first you have the initial tray. This is basically just to hold anything that is a book or board, frankly. And annoyingly, with the Asia expansion, we didn't get a book that compassed everything. It had basic rules in it, but it still only had appendix powers for certain birds. I wanted a big compendium book that contained everything you needed to know for every expansion, and sadly I don't think it was quite what I expected, so I have still hung on to the various other books. But I've got like the duet boards in here, I've got the Oceania boards. You could actually fit the normal boards in here as well if you really wanted, but I've got a couple of score pads. For me, Oceania's the way I want to play the game now, so I just keep these ones. The basic boards are in another box, you know, the princess is in another castle. And so that's essentially what this is. It's just a tray. It's got a little couple of tags which aren't that necessary, but basically it's just if it's a board or a book, it fits in here, all well and good. The inside of the lid does have a setup diagram for what you're supposed to put in here, although it's not the most clearest thing in the world. It basically has a picture of about 2 things. In fact, it doesn't even suggest, you know, where some of the things go on top of each other and that. And the bottom layer is, well, we'll get to that. It's basically just empty space and trays. But like I say, it's good enough to get the gist. So the main bulk of this box is this big giant green tray here. This is kind of like where the focus is of the game. So you've got the Asia box, the Asia card tray, shall we say. So one of these can fit in here, but only one, and it contains almost all my cards. Unfortunately, no, there's a lot more cards than just one tray's worth, even though this is a bit deeper than other ones in existence. Then what you've got is a few token trays for various things. So one token tray can hold the dice as well as a bird like the cubes that you had, although in my case I've pimped my copy out a little bit, so come on. The lids are very good at staying on securely, I'll give them that. So you can have both sets of dice. So I've got the normal dice and the Oceania dice, just in case for some, well, I didn't want to chuck the old dice away, so I had to find somewhere to put them. First player marker, and I've pimped my copy out with these little sort of plastic bird houses from Etsy. So yeah, these fit in there fine. The end of round goals fit in here. And then I've got some spare spaces, which I'm not entirely certain what they're for. I think it's mainly like, these just seem a little bit unnecessary unless they're meant to hold the solo ones. This is basically to hold, I believe, the 6th and 7th player tokens, although I don't have birdhouses for 6th and 7th player, so there's only cubes. So the idea of mixing and matching those just doesn't sit well with me, I'm afraid. I've got pimped out copies for 5 people, and I don't even like playing Wingspan with 5. We'll get on to 6 and 7 when we get to the Asia review. But as I say, this is basically just to hold the player tokens and the dice. You know, didn't really need a whole tray for it, but what do you know? Then we'll get onto this tray a little bit later, but then you've essentially got 3 of these. They're identical trays, but 2 of them are kind of the ones you're going to be using more than anything else for the moment. They hold the tokens for food and eggs. So take another lid off. And I've divided all my eggs up between the 2 boxes in this little tray here. You'll notice there's some new sort of red, like dark reddy, maroon, chocolatey ones. They're basically the new eggs you get in Asia. And then I've got nectar tokens in here. These are just the cardboard ones. In fact, putting the nectar tokens in here and here, all of them won't even fit. So I've had to get rid of a few. But I am overdue to get some proper plastic or wooden nectar tokens. It's on my radar. I will do it at some point. But from the same guy on Etsy, I have got some plastic resource pieces. But these are pretty big trays for the resources. I mean, if the intention is to have 3 of these dotted around the table for 6, 7 players, then how many resources do you have? If you've got cardboard ones, then maybe you would have enough tokens, but if, like me, you've pimped out your Wingspan, you're struggling to get your plastic pieces in, you know, 2 trays without coming up a little bit short in terms of, like, space required. So there's, you know, a big dip for only a few tokens. And as a result, the 3rd tray is literally mostly empty. All it basically has is just the duet tokens, as again, we'll get to that when I get to Asia, and a bunch of empty space. So again, this is meant to hold future content, but for the moment, even just having 2 trays on the table, you know, there's only a few tokens that need to go in each cubbyhole. But it's nice to have token trays, and as I say, the lids stay on very well, so there's no chance of you sort of going, yeah, I'm on the upside down, I'm not pinching it or anything, it won't come off. So at least you can be rest assured that it's not going to come off anytime soon. But there we go. So those boxes fit in there. Unfortunately, I wish I could say the same about the card tray lids. And then you've got space here for the bird feeder. So this is your normal bird feeder spot, but thankfully I bought a custom bird feeder when I was over in Essen recently, and I was annoyed that it was built a few millimeters too big and it wouldn't fit in my normal Wingspan box. So it's like, oh great, well that was a waste of 20 euros. Thankfully, there is so much space in here that you could fit any custom bird feeder and it would go in fine. So I've got a nice wooden one here. I forget who did it actually. It was just a random stall at Essen that I just passed by, and it had some inserts, and then it also had this Wingspan tower, and I was just like, yeah, I needed to spend my cash because I don't like to take my euros home, so I just had about 20 euro left, and I just thought, yeah, I'll buy your bird tower. So bird tower fits in there, and it's even got space to put something on top of it if you really need it. And then you've got spaces for cards that didn't fit in the trays. It's kind of weird. I'm not entirely certain why you need the card trays as well as these bits, but these are kind of a weak link for this game because it's just basically 4 card cubby holds here, which at least are the same width as the cards, but then you've got 2 cubby holds here, which are completely, like, the size is completely off. You know, the cards fit, but they're really wide. But we don't have really wide cards in Wingspan, so anything you put in here is just sliding around the place. So this is literally my dumping ground just for the old, the old autumnar stuff, which I don't need, the dividers I don't need, and a reminder of what sleeves I use, the standard USA Chimera. So that's just kind of wasted space for the time being. But the cards, you'll get a bunch of cards in here, so I can separate the autumnar, I can separate the bonus cards, and then I've still yet to sleeve a bunch of the Asia ones because I've run out of sleeves. But, you know, you can get a decent amount of cards in here and it'll cater for future scenarios. But here's the eye-rolling moment for here, and I really don't get this. You've got these nice dividers, and they're good, they're wooden, they've got great artwork, they've got lovely banners on them, and they're for North America, Asia, Latin America, Antarctica, Oceania, Europe, Africa, so all the different bird expansions that are likely to come. 2 problems with these dividers. Firstly, when the divider is in there and the cards are up against it, you can't see the banner to see what the divider is for. So if you're trying to go through quickly finding the one you want, you can't tell what it is because it is covered up. You can't see what that front divider is there because the cards are in the way. As soon as I get rid of the cards, we can see, oh, it's the North America divider. But the whole point of a divider is that you're supposed to be able to see what the set of cards is when you're looking at the box, not while you're trawling through it. That's kind of a bit of a weird design flaw. And the other design flaw is, who's even separating their cards out by expansion anymore?
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
Seriously, does anybody do that now? All my cards are mixed together. I'm sleeving the Asia stuff. That's getting mixed in with everything. I'm not keeping, like, Europe separate and Asia separate. I don't play Wingspan where I'm like, you know, which cards do I feel like using today? Asia or the old North America ones, or maybe just Europe on their own? No. I mix them together just like everybody else. So these are completely pointless to me. I have no use for these dividers, and granted, some of you may have use for it and may package your stuff that way, but I can tell you this, I know a lot of people who play Wingspan, and I don't know anybody, any of them that I have met, who separate their cards by expansion. So what was the point of these, really? But whatever, it's just basically cardboard. But this is money I spent like £80 on this thing as a Stonemaier champion. I kind of want more useful stuff, but well, I digress. So that is the main box. It's fine, it does the job, but it's nothing spectacular. I mean, I got everything before Asia in the normal Wingspan box, and I used to have Wingspan with a folded space insert. So there's a spare bird feeder, cardboard one, but I had folded space, and I got a lot of stuff in the Wingspan box, and I would say a bit more, you know, closely organized, I would, you know, dare to say, but oh well. And then the bottom of the box is just literally space for whatever hell you feel like, really. I seem to have mislaid one of my card trays. I don't know if I've still got it or not, but I've got the one from European, I think this is, you know, which is there. And these thinner trays, not that one, the thinner ones from previous expansions, can go in here, and I think you can get all 3 of them in there. Although, again, I don't know what I've done with all of the trays. Although, to be honest, how many trays do you need? I mean, with that tray, and this tray, and all these trays, why would you need any more of them? And if you are going to use these trays, then you might as well just mix all the cards together and put the cards in there. And if you do use the trays and put the cards in there for storage, which I don't see why you wouldn't, then why do you need these? What's the point of all this? Yeah, alright, you might have the autumnar and the bonus cards in one cubby hold. Fine, but if all of these cards are just going to go in the trays, then why do I need these?
Well, that was pointless.
I don't know, it feels like this whole box just feels like it was designed for someone who plays Wingspan in a very different manner than I do. And that might be the case. It may be that some of you do separate your cards by expansion. Some of you do want to store your cards outside of the trays. You know, if that's the case, then fine. I better make sure and I put this lid on the right way, otherwise some of you are going to have my head off getting the box the wrong way round. Trust me, people were doing that when I had Scythe on the shelf the wrong way round. They will do this.
You're going to burn in a very special level of hell.
Yeah, there you go. That's essentially an overview of the Wingspan nesting box. Is it worth it? Honestly, I'm glad that I've got something that's going to hold future content, but then at some point you have to ask yourself, how much content do you need for Wingspan? I've already got now everything up to Asia, and we'll get to the Asia expansion in my next video, but how much more content do you need? All I would want is just more birds, and I could fit more birds in the original box, plus maybe one of the expansions easily enough. I could put a folded space insert in the main box and it would store it fine, and it'd be a lot cheaper, because what's the Wingspan insert? About 15 quid? You know, pretty straightforward, and you just keep one of the expansion boxes. So some of you might be like, but then I got to store 2 boxes for the game. Is that really a problem? I mean, Spirit Island is stored in 2 boxes, and you don't see me complaining about that. The nesting box is, I'm afraid, just a bit of a disappointment. It looks great. It fits on the shelf just, although now I've got to put up with a box that's basically sticking its head out. And obviously I've paid the money for this, so I'm going to keep it and have it now that I've got it, but, oh, blimey. The main reason I got this was because I wanted to do a review video on request from Patreons and that. Otherwise, I'd be thinking, yeah, why did I spend over £80 on this thing? It's not the best value for money, I don't think. You know, I've seen better big boxes. I've seen better containers. It looks gorgeous, yes, but looks aren't everything. I need stuff like this to be fully functional, and this one is just basically a box with 3 sections in it. It's not like there's anything particularly new and innovative in here for storage. It's just, here's some cubby holds, here's 3 layers, do what you like with it. For that kind of money? Come on. I'm talking value here, and I don't think this is very good value. It's getting a 5 out of 10 for me. It's average, it's fine, it does the job of containing everything in a box, but it's going to take up more space than Wingspan plus an expansion will. It's going to stick out from every Kallax shelf, and it's probably just going to be making you think, man, that was a lot of money I spent. And some of you might not care. Maybe some of you have got money bleeding out your ears or something. But, you know, most people in this day and age need to watch their pennies, and I'm going to say my thoughts as it is. So that's it for me on this video. I'll see you in the Wingspan Asia Beyond the Base Game review. And until next time, check out more content on the channel, such as my reviews for Ottawa and Flamecraft that have gone up, but also if you can, please thumb up the video here and on Board Game Geek when it goes up there. It helps the algorithm, and get your comments down below. How do you play Wingspan? Is everything I described in this box perfect for you? Do you separate the cards by expansion? Do you not? If so, why? Is this box the design you want? Is that going to drive you nuts? I want to know your thoughts. So take care, and remember, as always, regardless of which box you're going to pick at the end of the day, it's still only a box. That doesn't work. Oh well, see you next time. Bye-bye.
In bird culture, this is considered a dick move.